ॐ दक्षिणस्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशववामन कृष्णपाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञान गुरु सद्यो जात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्ददातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. So now we are almost in the last four mantras of the Mundakopanishad, the third Mundaka and the second section. By today we'll be ending this Upanishad, and in the seventh verse, in this entire chapter, in this entire section, the third Mundaka, second Khanda, we have been, seeing mantras which talk about the glory of Atmajnana, the glory of the Atmajnani, what is moksha, what is Sadhyo moksha or Jivan mukti, then what is Videha mukti, what really happens when this person who has realized this, who has understood what the scriptures are saying, what happens to him or that particular, Jivan Mukta when the body of the Jivan Mukta dies. Now we don't say Jivan Mukta dies. No, none of us really die because we are Atma Swarupas. Really we are Atma Swarupas. What dies is this body. Can I call it my body? It's not even my body. When I understand I am that Atma Swarupa, Brahma Swarupa, Atma, Sakshi Chaitanya Atma, this body is something which is incidentally associated, which made me feel that I'm an individual separate from the others for so many lives until this particular time of my life. And in this life, I realize, understand, after probably lives and lives of effort put by me as a Tivra Mumukshu in Vedanta Shravanam, Mananam and Nididhyasanam, I understand the very central teaching of the Vedas, that is the Upanishads. Central teaching of this Upanishad, say Mundakopanishad, for that matter, every Upanishad, that Aham Atma Satya, Jagan Mithya, and I really am not a Jiva. The Jivatvam or the limitation or the smallness, the individuality is something which is superimposed upon me by my ignorance of my reality. The ignorance of my real self is what has given rise to, thinking that I am this body is mine. I am neither this body nor the mind nor the sense complexes. Nor does this body belong to me, no. It arises in me incidentally. And in this body mind sense complex, I, the Atma Swarupa, reflect myself as the Chidabhasa. And this Chidabhasa, along with the rest of the body, considers itself to be an individual. An ahankara comes up and it thinks of itself as an individual. This is my problem. And when this knowledge occurs and when this person abides in this knowledge, we call such a person as Jivan Mukta. And the fall of that body of the body with which the Jivan Mukta is associated, can't even call it Jivan Mukta's body. No, it is not. Because he has gone beyond the identification with that body. There's no tadatmyam with the body. And this particular person, incidentally, who who has this body, you can call that incidentally. I mean, the body is there incidentally with this, associated with his surroundings, associated with his name, whatever it is. When that body dies, that's the final death for this individual, because the individuality has already gone. As a Jivan Mukta, he is already dead as an individual, but continues to survive because he also needs a vestigial ahankara to survive. Yes, still that particular body with which he came in, till the prarabdha of that body is exhausted, this person is going to be there playing his role in whatever way Ishvara Sankalpa is there for him or her. And at the time of the death of this body, which is called as the Paranta Kala, or the final death of the body, the Upanishad says that everything that is associated with this jnani resolves itself into the total. The individual, that particular body, sthula sharira, resolves itself into the sthula prapancha, in the sthula panchabhutas. The sukshma prapancha no longer travels because this sukshma prapancha has nowhere to go. The kartritvam, bhoktritvam, everything has been resolved at the time of Jivan Mukti. All his sanchita karmas are burnt. Agami karmas have not accumulated. Therefore, where is the material for the next physical body coming from? So, when this physical body dies, the Sukshma Sharira has nowhere else to go, no more to travel. So the Sukshma Sharira completely gets resolved back into the Sukshma Prapancha. That was what was told in the seventh mantra, which we saw last time. We'll just have a small, brief introduction to that mantra before we go to the next. And let us read it again. Gataha kalaha panchadasha pratishtaha devascha sarve pratidevatasu karmani vijnanamayascha atma pare avyaye sarva eki bhavanti. So what really happens to that body, sthula sharira and sukshma sharira? Karana sharira is already gone. What is Karana sharira? The avarana or the avidya. And with the knowledge, the Karana Sharira, which is actually the seed for the spurting of the further Sukshma Sthula Shariras, is already gone, along with all the karmas. So he say, Gataha Kalaha Panchadasha Pratishtaha. And as I said in the last session, this Jiva is supposed to be a component of 16 components, or what is called as the 16, kind of aspects, various aspects. And the Upanishad called Prashnopanishad, which is considered to be a part 2 of Mundakopanishad, says that it names them. Various kinds of things are named of which a person is made of. And I'm not going to name them, because if I name them, then I'll have to explain what it means, and it is not really relevant at this time. So he says, and the last of the 16 components is the name by which that particular body is known. So here the Upanishad Guru says, Gataha Kalaha Panchadasha Pratishtaha. That means the 15 kalas, leaving behind the name which was given to that body for the Vyavaharika transaction of the world. All those 15 kalas, Panchadasha Kalaha, Gataha, Pratishtaha, they get resolved into their respective total. Respective total, because we have a total Sthula Sukshma Karana Sharira, We have the Adhidevatas for all the sense organs, for all the parts of the body. Adhidevatas are there. So he says here, Devascha sarve prati devatasu. Devaha means what? Here, the sense organs and the mind. The sense organs and the mind resolve themselves back into their respective Adhidevatas. That means those devatas which are responsible for every sense organ to function in a certain manner. Like the chakshu, the eyes are known to only know the color and form, and that is a blessing of the Surya Devata. So for chakshu indriya, Surya Devata is the Adhi Devata. For the mind, Chandra Devata is the Adhi Devata. We know all these things. We have seen that in our Tattva Bodha. Who are the Adi Devatas for the five Jnanendriyas, for the five Karmendriyas, etc. So, Devascha Sarve Prati Devatasu. So, all the sense organs, they resolve themselves into their respective Adhidevatas. They merge. Merge means what? The Adhidevata literally withdraws that power from that chakshu or from that sense organ. So sometimes, when we say that if a person has become deaf, say the Dik Devatas have, withdrawn that power of hearing from that particular ear. So it's like that. So Chakshur Devata, Surya. That's why there is a Upanishad called Chakshushopanishad, where Lord Surya is, worshipped, and we pray for getting back that, faculty of sight, or for the indriya of sight to work properly. So devascha sarve prati devatasu karmani vijnanamayascha atma pare avyaye sarva eki bhavanti. What happens to this ahankara and the karmas done? Karmani, sanchita karmani are burnt away as soon as this knowledge occurs, along with the ignorance and avidya. Prarabdha karma is the body stays back and works out the prarabdha karma and goes. No kartritvam. Vijnanamaya here means ahankara or the kartru. I am the karta. I have done this. I have done that. Vijnanamaya. The Vijnanamayascha Atma and Karmani, they resolve back. Where? Back into Brahman. Ultimately, everything is Brahman. In the respective total, we say, from where has it come? It has come from Brahman only. If Chakshu Devata, Surya is, at withdrawing this Indriya from there, where does it go? It's really back into Brahman again. That means everything, all my karmas, all my, the individuality, the ahankara, which has disappeared at the time of knowledge itself, ultimately at the time of death, even that vestigial ahankara, parantakale, the final death of the body, even that vestigial ahankara, that vestigial kartritvam with which he has lived, maybe a Jivan Mukta may live, we don't know how many years after this knowledge. So even that is resolved into Atma. And where, which kind of Vijnanamayascha Atma, that means the Ahankara, the Karta, the Bhokta, and all the karmas, Pare Avyaye, Pare Avyaye. In that Parabrahman, which is Avyaya, in that imperishable Brahman, Eki Bhavanti. So, what has happened? He is no longer traveling. Like us, the Stula Shariram gone. That Stula Shariram is gone. The purpose of this Stula Shariram is over when this dies. But the Jiva travels to take another Stula Shariram to fulfill whatever karmas have fructified for this particular life. But not so in the case of a Mukta Purusha. What kind of mukti? Jivan mukti, where he was not afflicted by anything, afflicted by the world. Now, this person, along with all his karmas and individuality, all the kalas, all the 15 components completely get resolved back into Brahman, Brahmi Bhutaha. He becomes nothing but Brahmi Bhutaha. Everything resolves into Brahman. And in the eighth verse, The Upanishad gives an example for this. What kind of an example he gives? He says, now it's a beautiful example. Yatha nadyah syandamanaha samudre astam gachanti nama rupe vihaya तथा विद्वान् नाम रूपाद् विमुक्तः परात् परं पुरुषमुपैति दिव्यम्. So he gives an example of reverse. So what does he say? Yatha syandamanaha nadyaha. Yatha, just as the flowing rivers, the rivers which have started in the Himalayas or in the hills somewhere, everywhere, they flow downwards, go into the plain, and they go to the nearest samudra on which side. You have seen that, isn't it? Those which are nearer to the east coast, the rivers go to the east coast. Those rivers which are closer to the west coast, they go to the west coast. Correct? So the nadis also know what is the purpose. Ultimately, when the nadi is flowing, Sandamanaha, it not only flows itself, but many other rivers join this river. You take a river like Ganga or something. So many small rivers join together with this Ganga, and then they ultimately go and fall into the Bay of Bengal. So, Syandamanaha Nadyaha, as though their ultimate purpose, the Nadi is born, it flows in a certain geographical area, it gives people, it literally, builds civilizations along wherever it flows. Loka Kalyana it does, but somewhere it is totally without Nama Rupa, with it giving up all its individuality, it becomes one with the Samudra, the nearest Samudra. So Astam Gachanti Samudre. Samudre Astam Gachanti. There's no river which just disappears. It has many rivers have gone underground and disappeared. But whatever rivers are there, they will finally reach their final destination, which is Samudra. And when they reach their destination and get into the water of the Samudra, can we identify them as this is Ganga, this is Yamuna, this is so and so? Is it possible? It's not possible. Because Nama Rupe Vihaya, giving up their names and forms, it is said that each river has its own composition, chemical composition, salt composition, and it is said that their colors are different, their tastes are different, their chemical compositions are different. They flow, one river is very wide, one river is very narrow, one river is very long, one river is very short. So different namas and different rupas, the different rivers, all the rivers have their different nama rupas. So what happens? Nama rupe vihaya, completely giving up their individuality, completely giving up their names and forms. Samudre astam gachanti. Like that, this Jivan Mukta also, when the body of the Jivan Mukta, as I said, it's difficult to say even the body of the Jivan Mukta, this incidental body of the Jivan Mukta also, Nama Rupa Vihaya, no more Nama Rupa. It was only the body which was remaining with some Nama Rupa. That also gone now with the death of this body. So Nama Rupe Vihaya Samudre Astam Gachanti. Like that, this individual who remained or who came as an individual before this knowledge, who has already lost the name and form, but just for the sake of just as though a small remnant of the name and form remained in the body as a part of the physical body, all that is gone. And pare avyaye eki bhutam bhavanti, pare avyaye sarva eki bhavanti. Brahma Bhuta becomes just like, he gives the examples of these nadya. Yat yatha nadyaha syandamanaha samudre astam gachanti namarupe vihaya. Completely gotten rid of their nama and rupa. Tatha, in the same way, Vidwan. Vidwan means what? This person who is a jnani, a jivan mukta, a sthira prajna, a sthita prajna. Okay? Many names we have already seen in Gita, we have seen many names. Buddha. Buddha means a Buddha Purusha, the one. Siddha, a person who has, understood that I am already the Siddha Vastu Atma iti. So many names are there given to this Mukta Purusha. Vidwan is another name. The one who has understood this truth through the pramana of Shastra. So such a Vidwan, Nama Rupa Dvimuktaha. He is already free from Nama Rupa. What remained as an identification for that such person was only his body. That's all. Otherwise, as such, everything had already gone. The body was remaining where he was being recognized with the name and form. But with the final death of this body, Parantakale, Nama Rupa Dvimukta, no individuality is left. No individual person is left. No Jivan Mukta is left. There is nobody to come back as Videha Mukta. Therefore, everything is resolved. Nama Rupadvi Muktaha Paratparam Purusham Upaiti Divyam. Paratparam Purusham Divyam Upaiti. Divyam means that light of consciousness. Paratparam, that Brahman which is also beyond Maya and Avidya. That knowledge Rupi, that consciousness Rupi Brahman, which is even beyond Maya, that which is the very adhishtanam of Maya also. So, Divyam means as the consciousness Swarupam. He is that consciousness Swarupam, Brahma alone. And that is Brahman is what? Parat Param. Parat Param means Parat Param. So here it is even something, this consciousness, this Brahman, which is the Adhishtanam of even Maya, that is beyond Maya also. Now, the last three mantras are only the concluding mantras, where everything has already been told. Now, a few things, like in Bhagavad Gita, the 66th verse of the 18th chapter is the last teaching verse. Then we have 12 verses coming, which say so many other things: to whom you should teach this, to whom you should not teach this. What is the glory of a teacher of Bhagavad Gita? What is the glory of, the listener of Bhagavad Gita? What is the phalam of listening to Bhagavad Gita? All these are told in 12 verses, correct? Similarly here, the last three verses are the concluding verses, where finally the Upanishad concludes and adds certain other, you know, qualifications according to Atharvana Veda, to which this Upanishad belongs, that such people with these qualifications are the people who are absolutely fit for this knowledge. So this is how the Upanishad ends. Let's go to the ninth verse. Sayoha vai tat paramam brahma veda ब्रह्मैव भवति न अस्य अब्रह्मवित्कुले भवति तरति शोकं तरति पात्मानं गुहाग्रन्थिभ्यो विमुक्तो अमृतो भवन्ति. It's quite simple to understand after having gone through this entire Upanishad. Now, this is again the final phalam of this knowledge. Sa yoha vai tat paramam brahma veda. Saha, this Jivan Mukta, this Vidwan. Yaha, ha vai means what? Who has definitely understood that I am that limitless Brahman. Paramam Brahma Veda. The one, this person, this Jivan Mukta, who knows this Paramam Brahma, that limitless, imperishable Brahman, as what? As not different from myself. Brahmaiva bhavati. Brahmavid Brahmaiva bhavati. The knower of Brahman becomes Brahman. No, the knower of Brahman is Brahman. Why? Because the knower of Brahman understands that Brahman is not something different from me. Brahman is me. And what I know of that Brahman is that I am not different from Brahman. I am that Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Atma, Sat Chit Ananda Rupi Atma, which is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma iti, the one who understands. Brahmaiva Bhavati. He is Brahman. That is what is the knowledge. Aham Brahmasmi is the knowledge. What does the Upanishad say? Tat Brahma Tvam Asi, it says. And how do I understand it? I understand it as yes, I am that Brahman which the Upanishads are talking about. Brahman is not an object which is somewhere, which is a treasure, which is, hidden somewhere where I have to go on a search, do all kinds of things and then get it. No, that's not the thing. This knowledge means Brahma. What is that? Brahma Veda. The one who knows Brahman means what? The one who knows that there is no difference between me, the Jagat, and Ishvara. The one who understands that Jiva, Ishvara, Jagat Bheda is really not there. The Bheda is only in the Upadhi. But the ultimate truth of Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara is nothing but this Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. And I am that Brahman. Everything is Brahman. This Jagat is Brahman. Every individual that is there, whatever I see is nothing but Brahman. Whatever extra, whatever I am seeing outside is nothing but the Anatma Nama Rupa. But that which is all pervading, that which is everywhere, that which supports every name and form is nothing but this consciousness, which is me. This is what is known as the one who knows Brahman. Brahmaiva bhavati. Means I know I am that Brahman. That's it. Na asya kule abrahmavit bhavati. So in a person, in such a person's kula or in such a person's family, the Upanishad glorifies this knowledge. That's all says. Nobody is a Brahmavit. That means everybody is a mumukshu. That's what it is. There is no Brahmavit in that kula, in that particular family. Everybody is a mumukshu. All are mumukshus. All are trying to get this knowledge, making commitment, putting their wholehearted commitment and effort in understanding this knowledge. It can be taken like this also. There is another way in which you can take na asya kule abrahmavid bhavati. We can take it as if it is a Shrotriya Brahmanishta Guru who's giving this knowledge, who has understood the teachings of Vedanta, who's abiding in that teaching in such a Gurukulam and among the Shishyas of such a Guru, no Shishya remains a Abrahmavid. Every Shishya of such a Guru is a Tivra Mumukshu, and sometime or the other, that Shishya will understand what the Guru has been trying to say. So, Brahmaiva Bhavati, Sa Yoha Vai Tat Paramam Brahmaveda Brahmaiva Bhavati, Na Asya Kule Abrahmavit Bhavati. Asya Kule Abrahmavit Na Bhavati. That means in such a person's family or in as a teacher among his students, nobody remains an Ajnani. Sometime or the other, every one of them get this knowledge. Then he says, what happens to him? Tarati shokam, tarati papmanam. Tarati shokam. There is another Upanishad called Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, There is a tarati shokam atmavit. Okay, Narada in Chandogya Upanishad, there is this thing where he goes to his guru and says, I have heard Tarati Shokam Atmavit. Atmavit means a knower of Brahman, the knower of Atma, what you call Brahmavid here, Tarati Shokam. He goes beyond Shoka, sorrow. Sorrow does not have any place in his life. That's what Krishna told Arjuna. Okay? Ashocyan anvashochastvam. There's no place for sorrow here. Sorrow is only an effect of avidya. Sorrow and Vishada are only the effects of avidya because you don't really know who you are and the other person is. Since you do not know your own Swarupam, because of this avidya, only shoka, moha, raga, all these things are caused. The one who knows himself to be the Purnatva Swarupa Atma, where is the question of shoka? There is no shoka. Tarati shokam, tarati papmanam. He goes beyond papa punya, the karma phalas, because he is no longer a karta. No agami karmas accrue to him. All the previous sanchita karma phalas have been burnt away by this knowledge. Therefore, what is remaining here? Tarati shokam, tarati papmanam. Papmanam means what? He is completely beyond or crosses over sorrows, not only sorrows, he crosses over papa and punya also. Shokam tarati, all the papas, punyas, which are the causes for shoka. Karma phala is the cause for shoka. No, whatever, sukha, dukkha, because of karma phalas. A good karma phala gives me sukha for some time. A bad karma phala gives me dukkha. How long? Don't know. Lifelong I may suffer something. For a few years I may suffer something, depending upon the karma phala. So, tarati papmanam. How does it happen? He says, guha grantibhyo vimukto amrito bhavati. We have seen that earlier. Bhidyate hridaya grantihi छिद्यन्ते सर्वसंशयाः क्षीयन्ते चास्य कर्माणि तस्मिन् दृष्टे paravare. We saw that in the previous section we saw. So what has happened to such a person? Guha grantibhyo vimuktaha. He is freed from the knot of heart. Three-stranded knot of the heart. What are the three strands? Avidya, kama, karma. Avidya, kama, karma. What is avidya? I don't know who I am. I don't know what Ishvara is. I don't know what the Jagat is. I believe what I see outside in the multiple names and forms, I take that as the truth. So, Guha Grantihi of Avidya, because of Avidya, Apurnatvam and desire, Kama, and because of Kama, to fulfill that desire, Karma. Avidya, Kama, Karma is the three-stranded Hridaya Granthi, which we are making tighter and tighter and tighter every life. And the only thing which removes this Hridaya Granthi is removing one strand of Avidya. When one strand out of the three, that Avidya strand is completely broken, then the other two cannot stand there. Therefore, the whole Hridaya Granthi, the knot which has been there, which is keeping us in this samsara of Raga Shoka Moha, completely disappears. Vimuktaha, free from Ajnanam or Avidya, Kama and Karma. Amrito Bhavati. He realizes that he is that immortal Atma. He is not the coming and going body, mind, sense complex. He understands I'm not this body which comes and goes. I'm not this jiva who travels and takes hundreds and thousands and millions of bodies. Then who am I? I am that immortal Amritaha, imperishable Atma, consciousness. Now the last two verses are just a few things which talk about a certain discipline that is followed by the Atharvana Vedis, the ones who are the Atharvana Veda followers. He says that there is something which are to be done necessarily for the study of this Upanishad, so that they have the adhikaritvam for that. So let us read the 10th mantra. Tadetat richabhyuktam kriyavantah shrotriya brahmanishtaha स्वयं जुह्वत एकर्षिं श्रद्धयन्तः तेषामेवैतां ब्रह्मविद्यां वदेत शिरोव्रतं विधिवद्यैस्तु चीर्णम्. So here he talks about, he says that there's some kind of a rule or a stipulation which is, put down by the Atharvana Veda. So what it says is, this Brahma Vidya should be taught only to those people who are doing their Nitya Naimitika karmas as per the Vedas. What is the purpose of this? By doing the karmas, religious karmas, Nitya Naimitika karmas given by the Vedas, it leads to Chitta Shuddhi. It is Karma Yoga. Doing one's Nitya Naimitika karmas without any kind of a desire for anything, Nishkama karmas, Nishkamataya Nitya Naimitika karmas give me Chitta Shuddhi, which is nothing but Karma Yoga. So he says, Tadeta Richa Bhyuktam, Tadeta Dricha Bhyuktam. It is that, rule which has been laid down that this knowledge must be given only to those people who are doing their Nitya Naimittika duties and those who have studied that particular ascension of Veda to which they belong. Okay. And then also he says, Kriyavantah Shrotriya Brahmanishtaha Swayam Juhvata Ekarshim Shraddhayantaha. Ekarshi means in Atharvana Veda, this Agnihotra karma is called as the one of the Nitya karmas, which is called as the Ekarshi, Ekarshim Shraddhayanta. That means what? With lot of Shraddha in the Vedas, they study the Vedas, they follow the lifestyle given by the Vedas, prepare their intellects with Chitta Shuddhi and Chitta Naischalyam. And he says, Tesham yeva yetam brahma vidyam vadeta. So this is a guideline for the guru. Only for such a person, please give this Upanishad. That's why they were considered to be secrets earlier. It was not, Upanishads were not talked or taught to anybody. Well, nowadays we may say, are we really, the adhikaris for the Upanishads? But one thing we can say that if really our minds are prepared, we may not be doing the Agnihotri karma every day, but if we are karma yogis, and we have done the Upasana Yoga as directed, and if we have sufficiently prepared our intellect for this knowledge and we are adhikaris, we are definitely adhikaris to receive this knowledge. Now, whether this knowledge works or not depends upon how our adhikaritvam is. So, whether anybody gives this knowledge to somebody or not is not the problem. Whether I am capable of receiving it. If I am capable of receiving it, it will benefit me. If I am not capable of receiving it, it will not benefit me. That's all. But earlier in the Vedic period, these stipulations were there that the Upanishads should not be taught to everybody. They should be taught only to people who are adhikaris for this. And a Shrotriya Brahmanishta Guru should, is a person who understands whether this particular Shishya he has adhikaritvam or not. Until he develops the adhikaritvam, the Guru will make him, do Karma Yoga and Upasana Yoga or whatever the karmas are talked about in that Veda, so that this he becomes capable of it, capable of receiving this knowledge. So this is one stipulation. So it says that Tesham Yeva Etam Brahma Vidyam Vadeta. So now for today's thing, we can probably say that those who are committed to the pursuit of Brahman, those who are sadhana chatushtaya sampanna adhikaris who are pursuing their this knowledge with whatever is needed to be done, this knowledge will benefit such people. And if this knowledge is not going to be absorbed by me because of my unpreparedness, it's okay. Then it is my loss. That's it. So then, yesham eva etam brahma vidyam vadeta shirovratam vidivadhyaistu chirnam. And there is one more vrata. It is called a shirovrata in Atharvana Veda, where, I told you in the first class, it's first session itself, where I said why this name of the Upanishad is Mundaka Upanishad. So there is, a kind of a ritual where the student carries a pot of fire on his head and goes to the Guru and asks for this knowledge. This is what is called as a Shirovrata. This means indicating to the Guru that I have lived a lifestyle that is necessary for me to become an adhikari for this. and I'm willing to light the fire of knowledge in myself. So this is a small, it's a ritual in which the willingness of the Shishya that, yes, I'm ready now to, go through or expose this intellect to this knowledge. So he says that the one who has performed this ritual with Shraddha, and the Shirovratam is done with Shraddha, and who have with lot of Shraddha, gone through the lifestyles that have been described by the Atharvana Veda, only to such people this Upanishad has to be taught. This is the stipulation laid down by the Upanishad. Yes. Then, mantra 11, the final mantra of this Upanishad. Tadetat satyam ऋषिरङ्गीराः पुरोवाच नैतदचीर्णवृतो अधीते नमः परमऋषिभ्यः नमः परमऋषिभ्यः. Okay. Very quietly, the Upanishad now says, Tadetat Satyam. This is Satyam. That is what Rishi Angiras gave to his Shishya Shaunaka, who asked for this knowledge in the form of what is it that by knowing which everything is known. And the Guru gave a set of 66 verses and explained that thing to be Aksharam. Aksharam Brahma. Aksharam is the name given for Naksharati iti Aksharam. That which is imperishable, which does not go away. So Tadetat Satyam. Okay? And says that is the truth. Yes. Rishi Angira Purovacha. Long back in the Vedic period, Rishi Angira gave this knowledge, and let that knowledge be na yetad achirna vrito adhite. Let this Upanishad not be studied by the person who has not done this Shirovrata. Like each individual, each Upanishad has its, its stipulations. That's it. Ultimately, what it means is that a person with Tivra Mumukshutvam, Vairagya, sufficient Vairagya to withdraw from the world outside, at least by internal renunciation, not getting caught up in the world outside, who has some idea of Nitya Anitya, Nitya Viveka, and who is disciplined in his mind, who has prepared his mind with Karma Yoga as Shuddha. Shuddha means as much as possible, Chitta Shuddhi, and a capacity of the mind to sit and concentrate, one focused concentration, single focused concentration. So this is the preparation that is necessary. So a sadhana chatushtaya sampanna adhikari committed to this knowledge will benefit from this teaching of Angiras to Shaunaka. And Namah Paramarishibhyaha, Namah Paramarishibhyaha. So, two times he says that Namaha Paramarishibhya, all these rishis or the seers, who have given this knowledge of the Upanishads from the different Vedas, express them in different ways, using different prakriyas. One Upanishad uses, the Avasthatraya Prakriya. One Upanishad uses the Panchakosha Prakriya. Another Upanishad uses the Karana Karya Prakriya. Different Prakriyas. But ultimately what is given is what? There is only one thing, Brahman, that is Satyam, Brahma Satyam. Everything that we see in multiples, the Dvaita experience that we have is Mithya. Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. Jiva Brahma Abheda has always been there. I have made a Bheda out of it because of my ignorance. And this central teaching of the Upanishads is the teaching of all the Upanishads. Okay. So salutations. Nama Paramarishibhyaha. Namah Paramarishibhyaha. My namaskaras and salutations to the knowers of Brahman, to the seers of Brahman, to all the gurus who have understood this knowledge. So, what did we see in Mundakopanishad in three mundakas and totally six sections? Nothing but what is Brahman. Starting with the initial teaching, then the whole Upanishad expanded itself into the teaching of only what this Aksharam Brahma is. So there was a full Vyakhyanam on Aksharam Brahma, by knowing which everything is known. How is it known? Because this Brahman is the all pervading Adhishtanam of everything. It is in this Brahman that the entire universe is woven otam protam. So, knowing this one Brahman, we know what the content of the entire Jagat, Jiva, and Ishvara is. So, with this, we have completed our study of the second Upanishad. We did Katopanishad first some time back, Mundakopanishad, easy Upanishads we have completed. And as usual, I would like to thank all these people who have made this possible: Archana, Shantesh, Leenata, many people who have worked behind this recording also. Thank you so much. And with the willing, if with the grace and blessings of our Swamiji, we may meet in future for other things, other study of other works also. Let's see. Om Nandantu Sadhaka Sarve Vinashyantu Vidushakaha Avastha Shambhavi Mestu Prasannostu Guru Sada Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkham Apnuyat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat.